Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the book of Lamentations. We're in chapter 5. We're at that point in the Lamentations where we have we've smashed into a wall. We've spun out, and everything has fallen apart. We have gone from a highly structured lament and dirge, an acrostic, after an acrostic, after a triple acrostic, after which another acrostic, and we really are expecting number 7 to complete the cycle. And we do have 22 verses, but we don't have an acrostic. And as I said last time, it is just a rude awakening. It's just like smashing into a wall that we get here, and everything has just fallen into chaos and disorder. We're going to read verses 1 through 18 and talk about that. But as we finish out the book of Lamentations, we've said in the past, as we've studied this book, it doesn't have a happy ending. It just doesn't. We are in the storm. We're in the hurricane, and we're in the mess of it, and then we're in the eye of calm in chapter 3. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. And then we enter into the storm again, and we are into the storm until we get to the end of the book, and we're not really out of it. Although the last part of the last acrostic in the condemnation of Edom, comparing and contrasting Edom to Judah, did say that Judah's punishment was for a time and that it would at one point end. And that is the little bit of future hope that we have. As we said when we began the study, the steadfast love of God is not at the end of anything here. It's in the heart of everything here. And but there is a glimmer, the slightest glimmer of hope if we are paying attention in verses 21 and 22 of chapter 4. Okay, let's read chapter 5, verses 1 through 18. Remember, O Lord, what has befallen us. Look and see our reproach. Look at us. Look at what you've done to us. Again, said that so many times before. And it ends by them saying that again. Our inheritance has been turned over to strangers, our houses to aliens. We have become orphans without a father. Our mothers are like widows. We have to pay for our drinking water. Wood comes to us at a price. Our pursuers are at our necks. We are worn out. There is no rest for us. We have submitted to Egypt and to Assyria to get enough bread. Our fathers sinned and are no more. It is we who have borne their iniquities. Slaves rule over us. There is no one to deliver us from their hand. We get our bread at the risk of our own lives, because of the sword in the wilderness. Our skin has become as hot as an oven, because of the burning heat of famine. They raped the women of Zion, the virgins in the cities of Judah. Princes were hung by their hands. Elders were humiliated. Young men worked at the grinding mill, and youth stumbled under loads of wood. Elders are gone from the gate, young men from their music. The joy of our hearts have ceased, and dancing has been turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us, for we have sinned. Because of this our heart is faint. Because of these things our eyes are dim. Because of Mount Zion which lies desolate, foxes prowl in it. This is nearly the end. The last few verses are a direct address to Yahweh himself, and we'll look at that next time. But this ends as it began. A storm, a hurricane is a circle, and it's a circular thing, and this is a circular thing. There are a lot of references to not only Psalm 137 here, but also the book of Ecclesiastes. The language of Ecclesiastes is referenced several times. But there's also here just a listing of what's happened. This makes us think that perhaps they are literally on the trek. They haven't arrived back to Babylon yet. It seems like after they have been taken, even on the road, they have to trade their valuables for food, for fuel, and for drinking water. as they are crossing the desert stretches, or trade something. Um, and and so that's how it's being described. When you talk about paying for drinking water, it recalls what Isaiah had said, looking forward to the Messianic age in Isaiah 15. Isaiah 56 begins, Isaiah 56, not 15. In Isaiah 56, Isaiah says, has God saying, "Come to the waters and drink without price, and get bread without paying for it." And that passage is looking beyond the Babylonian captivity to a time that this this time will help produce. But they're not there yet. They're not in any way there yet. They're in the middle of what's happening. The verses 10 through 14 are just so brutally concise and vivid. They raped the women in Judah and Zion. They raped the virgins in the cities of Judah. They hung up the princes by their hands. You can die that way. You can die of suffocation. You can die a variety of ways if you're hung that way, and it's a very painful way to die. And it's a torture that's been practiced throughout the centuries. They somehow humiliated the old men. They used the young men as beasts of burden. Instead of having, oxen grinding at the mill, they hooked up, the young men. Instead of having donkeys to haul the loads of wood, they used the young men. And then the young men from their music, the joy of our hearts ceased. Reminds me of Psalm 137, which says, "By the waters of Babylon we hung up our harps." How can we sing, the songs of Zion in a foreign land? Um, anyway, it's just this is how bad things are, and there is an admission of guilt. Woe to us, we have sinned. Um, they admit that they have sinned, but this is not. This is an admission of guilt, but admitting guilt is not the same as repenting, is it? Because repenting means you understand the consequences, the repercussions, the meaning of what you've done, and you have made a determination to tread a different path, to go a different direction, and that they have not done. The way David does at the end of Psalm 51, you break my bones, whatever you need to do it. Kick me kick me off the throne, take my life. Don't withdraw your presence from me. But if you will create a clean heart in me, then I'm going to sing your praise, and I'm going to teach others to sing your praise. That's not here. They're not. They are not here. There is. We have sinned, but there is a feeling of being victimized, ultimately by God who brought about this punishment, and that is there throughout. It permeates everything but the eye of calm that we find in chapter 3. Well, this will end with a prayer and a big question, and if, and unless, at the end of verse 22. We'll finish the text, and then we'll take another session to think about the lessons that we've learned, a bit of the meaning of the book of Lamentations. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.